Have you ever walked away from a simple conversation and suddenly found yourself replaying it in your head, hearing a whole wave of criticism, rejection, or judgment that the other person never actually said? Maybe your friend raised an eyebrow and said, "Oh, you're changing jobs." And 10 minutes later, in your mind, this has turned into, "They think I'm irresponsible. They don't believe in me. They're waiting for me to fail." Or your partner's tone sounded just a bit colder than usual, and your brain instantly continued the dialogue. "They're tired of me. I'm not enough. They're probably comparing me to someone else." Outwardly, nothing dramatic happened. Inwardly, a full-blown emotional storm started, triggered not by words but by your own inner echo. This video is about that phenomenon, the psychology of inner echo, the mechanism by which your brain completes other people's messages using old experiences and stored pain, and how you can learn to distinguish real signals from internal projections so that your relationships become clearer, calmer, and much more honest. To understand inner echo, you first need to know one simple thing about your brain. It hates gaps. When there is ambiguity, unclear facial expression, neutral message, short reply, your mind rushes to fill in the missing information. And it fills it not with objective truth, but with patterns it already knows. Imagine your perception as a subtitle generator on a movie. Someone says a few words or makes a face, and your brain automatically adds subtitles. "You're annoying. You're not good enough. You're boring. You're too much." Those subtitles feel like reality, but they're not coming from the screen. They're coming from the library inside your head. Psychologically, this is linked to schemas, deep patterns of expectations about yourself and others formed through repeated experiences. If in your childhood you often felt criticized, ignored, or shamed, your brain has a schema that says, "People will judge me. People will leave. I'm not okay as I am." Now, when someone hesitates, pauses, looks away, or seems distracted, that schema activates. The brain says, "I've seen this movie. I know how it ends." And then it plays the old script, regardless of what's actually happening. This is inner echo, your past speaking louder than the present. It's important to understand that inner echo is not a sign that you're dramatic or broken. It's a sign that your mind is trying to keep you safe. From an evolutionary perspective, assuming threat where there is none is less dangerous than missing a real threat. So your brain tends to err on the side of caution. If it has to guess between "they're busy and tired" and "they're disappointed in me," and your history is full of disappointment, it will lean toward that interpretation to prepare you for pain. The problem is that this survival strategy quietly destroys clear communication. You stop responding to what people actually say and start reacting to the echoes of your past. So how do you know when you're dealing with inner echo and not legitimate intuition about someone's behavior? Here's the first tool, the echo test. When you notice a strong emotional reaction to something small, a tone, a pause, a short message, ask yourself one question. What exactly did they do, and what did I add? Separate observable facts from internal subtitles. Facts sound like, "They replied with ok." Their voice got quieter. "They looked at their phone." What you added sounds like, "They don't care, they think I'm stupid. I bored them." The moment you see this difference, you've already stepped from pure echo into awareness. A second tool is to look for emotional disproportionality. If your reaction is much stronger than the situation seems to justify from the outside, that's a strong sign an echo is involved. For example, you feel almost panicked or devastated because a friend took longer than usual to respond, or your colleague's neutral feedback feels like a personal attack. The intensity is real and valid, but it may not belong to this specific moment. It may be echoing an older wound, a time you were ignored, rejected, or ridiculed. Third tool, check for repetition. Inner echoes tend to be repetitive and predictable, almost like a playlist that keeps playing the same themes. I'm not enough, I'm too much, they'll leave, they're disappointed. If different people and situations repeatedly trigger the same story in your head, that's a clue that you're hearing yourself more than them. Once you start recognizing echoes, the next step is learning what to do with them in real communication. Here, you need a combination of psychological awareness and simple, practical behavior changes. One of the most powerful actions is to move from mind reading to clarification. Inner echo thrives in silence. It loves when you assume instead of asking. So you can practice a small but radical skill, naming your perception and checking it. Instead of withdrawing or attacking based on your internal subtitles, you say something like, "When your voice went quiet just now, a part of me interpreted it as upset. Is that actually what's going on?" Or, "When you answered really briefly in the chat, my brain translated it as you're annoyed." Is that accurate, or are you just busy? Notice the structure. You take ownership of your interpretation. My brain translated it as, you don't accuse, and you open space for correction. This does two things at once. First, it gives the other person a chance to correct the story before it becomes a drama. Second, it gently rewires your own brain. It shows your nervous system that you can tolerate asking, you can survive clarity, and that not every ambiguous signal turns into catastrophe. Another essential skill is nervous system regulation. Inner echo doesn't just live in your thoughts, it lives in your body. When the echo activates, your body often reacts faster than your conscious mind. Tension in the chest, tight jaw, knot in the stomach, sudden urge to defend or withdraw. If you try to have a clear conversation while your nervous system is in fight or flight mode, your brain will keep pushing you toward the old story. So before you clarify, regulate. Take 30 seconds to feel your feet on the ground. Lengthen your exhale a little more than your inhale, signaling safety to your nervous system. You can even mentally name what you feel in your body. Tightness in chest, heat in face, fast heartbeat. This kind of simple somatic labeling brings you back from the echo into the present moment, where you can choose your response instead of being dragged by the past. There is also a deeper philosophical dimension to working with inner echoes. Taking responsibility for your inner narrative without blaming yourself for having it. It's not your fault that past experiences left marks on your perception. But it is your responsibility, if you want more freedom, to learn how your perception now edits reality. You might think of it as becoming a curator of your inner museum. Some rooms are filled with old recordings, a parent's sigh, a teacher's sarcastic comment, a partner's rejection. When someone in the present makes a similar face or sound, your mind drags you back into that room and hits play. The work is not to demolish the museum. It's to recognize, oh, I'm in that room again, and gently walk back into the present. Practically, you can support this with a very simple written exercise. Take a situation that recently triggered a strong inner echo and write it out in 3 columns. Column 1, what actually happened? Observable facts. Column 2, what story did my brain immediately tell? Column 3, what other possible explanations exist? For example, fact, my friend didn't respond to my message for 2 days. Story, they are tired of me. I'm boring. I said something wrong. Other explanations, they are overwhelmed. They forgot. They are dealing with their own life. This doesn't mean you ignore real patterns of neglect or disrespect. It means you don't automatically treat your first fearful story as the only truth. You give your nervous system room to loosen its grip. Over time, this exercise trains your mind to see ambiguity not as proof of danger, but as a space of possibilities. Another useful lens is to notice which inner voice your echo uses. Often, when you slow down and really listen to the tone of those internal monologues, they don't sound like you at all. They sound like someone from your past, a critical parent, a harsh teacher, a mocking peer, an ex-partner. You can ask, whose voice does this remind me of? Then, crucially, do I actually agree with this voice today? This small gap between the voice and your present-day self is where freedom begins. You may still hear the echo, but you no longer treat it as an authority. You treat it as a ghost of an old environment that you've already left. In relationships, understanding inner echo can be transformative not only for you, but for the other person. When you share that you have this pattern, gently, without blaming them, it creates more compassion on both sides. For example, sometimes when people go quiet, my brain fills in the gaps with I did something wrong. If you ever notice me pulling away, it might be that. I'm working on asking directly instead of assuming. This kind of vulnerability doesn't make you weak. It makes invisible dynamics visible so they stop quietly poisoning connection. Of course, sometimes the echo is actually telling you something important. Not every uncomfortable feeling is a projection. There are real red flags. Someone consistently dismisses your feelings, mocks your vulnerability, punishes you with silence. The goal is not to gaslight yourself into thinking, it's all in my head. The goal is to build a more precise instrument, to distinguish as clearly as possible between this is my old wound speaking and this is my current boundary being crossed. One simple rule of thumb is this: when it's mostly echo, your mind tends to spiral inward, replaying the same phrases. When it's a real boundary issue, you can usually articulate concrete behaviors. They interrupted me, mocked my idea in front of others, ignored my clear request. The more concrete your description, the more you're in contact with reality instead of echo. Over time, as you practice the echo test, regulate your body. clarify instead of assuming, and rewrite your internal subtitles, something subtle but powerful shifts. Conversations become lighter, not because they're always pleasant, but because they're more honest. You spend less time fighting with people in your head and more time actually talking to them. You begin to realize how much of your past you were carrying into each present moment without noticing. That realization is not a reason for shame, it's a moment of liberation. It means you are finally seeing the invisible script that has been running in the background for years. When you see a script, you can edit it, and when you edit it, your life stops being just a replay and becomes a new chapter. So if you recognized yourself in the examples today, if you've seen how quickly your brain fills silence with old sentences, remember, you are not too sensitive or crazy. You are human, with a mind designed to protect you using whatever data it has. Now you simply have more tools to update that data and bring your perception closer to what is actually happening. And if this exploration of inner echoes helped you hear the difference between other people's real words and the ones your past adds on top, consider liking this video, sharing it with someone who often overthinks conversations, and subscribing to Mind Unlocked. Here we build a practical toolkit for better thinking, clearer communication, and deeper self-understanding, so that, step by step, your inner voice stops being an echo of old pain and becomes a wiser, kinder narrator of the life you're truly living now.